Please adhere to YouTube's selected guidelines before viewing the content of this video. I do not encourage or condone any products, actions, or behaviors shown in this video. All videos are produced in a safe, professional, and controlled environment. Please do not attempt to replicate any actions performed during the video. All actions are performed by professionals.
Alright, so today I'm going to be smoking a cigarette with a pair of pliers. But why? Why would I want to have this experience? It seems like a kind of unnecessary thing to do, doesn't it? Well, the reason why I want to have this experience today is pretty simple in all honesty. It's because, one, I want to smoke a cigarette. I want some nicotine. It's been about an hour and a half since the last time I had a cigarette after all. And reason number two is because I think this is a funny thing to do due to the fact that this is such an unnecessary thing to do. We as humans have hands to hold cigarettes that we smoke, and we don't need a pair of pliers to hold the cigarettes we smoke. So to add a pair of pliers into the mix is to make the routine of smoking a cigarette more complex than it needs to be. And I think because there is that unnecessary complexity getting added in there with this pair of pliers being used, I think it's funny to use a pair of pliers to smoke a cigarette just because it's so unnecessary. I don't know if I'm really making any sense in all honesty, but that's my logic behind why I'm making this video today and why I want to have this experience today. But I'm sure some of y'all are probably wondering, what pair of pliers am I going to be using during this video? Well, it is this pair of pliers right here, which is a full metal pair of pliers. Now, I don't know exactly what brand this pair came from. There's some stamped lettering just right there on the pliers. It just says, it's now very hard to read, but it just says something along the lines of like Helson, and then I think it says Jamestown. I'm not exactly sure what that says. I do not know what company these pliers came from, but what I do know is that they look pretty nice. They have a little bit of a stamp right there. They got some grips kind of put on them just like that, and well, I got this pair of pliers from the previous owner of my 1996 Ford Aerostar. When I bought it, this pair of pliers was included with my purchase. And when I sold my 1996 Aerostar, y'all know I did not include these pliers with the next owner's purchase because I really like these pliers. These are fantastic and I'm never letting them go. These are the pliers I'm going to be using for this video today. These are the pliers I'm going to be using to, well, hold my cigarette while I'm smoking today. But what cigarette am I going to be smoking today? Well, what I've got is a pack of the Lambert & Butler Original Silver cigarettes from the UK. I do suppose without further ado, I should probably go ahead and get this pack all opened up, and I should probably go ahead and get one of the cigarettes inside this pack all out now, shouldn't I? So let's go ahead and just grab one of the cigarettes with my pair of pliers. I think I'm going to readjust kind of just how I'm holding the cigarette real quick, try to make sure I get a good grip before I take it out, and there we go. I now have my cigarette all out of the pack, have not touched it with my hands one bit, and that's one of my goals with this video today. I'm going to be trying my absolute hardest not to touch the cigarette with my hands all throughout this video. But now that I've got the cigarette all out, I'm just going to go ahead and just try to get a slightly better grip on it, just like that. And I'm going to go ahead and get my lighter out of my pocket, and I'm going to go ahead and try to get to, well, smoking a cigarette with a pair of pliers today. How will this experience be? Will it be a good experience? Will it be a bad experience? Well, I don't know yet because this is my first ever time doing this, but I'm looking forward to finding out. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get to smoking. Yes, sir, you know what I'm saying? And so far, so good. Thankfully, the wind kind of died down to allow me to light up my cigarette. However, if the wind had not died down, I do think it would have been quite difficult to light my cigarette up, just because, well, when you're lighting a cigarette normally and you're just kind of holding it in your lips, you have two hands, one hand free to, well, light your cigarette with the lighter, and then another hand free to kind of cup over the flame of the lighter to prevent wind from blowing the flame all around and everything like that. However, with this experience, on the other hand, of course, I'm holding the cigarette with a pair of pliers, and so I've got my one hand doing that, and then I've only got one other hand to use with my lighter, so I can't cover up the flame with my hand. So right off the bat, just one negative of this experience is going to be that if you have this experience and it's a really windy day, you might struggle to light up your cigarette. But I gotta admit, yeah, so far so good. No complaints on my behalf. Cigarette is smoking well. The pliers are holding my cigarette just fine. Haven't dropped them or anything like that. These are a bit stiff, I'll acknowledge. They certainly have not been greased up in many years. It's probably been, I'm guessing, like 25, 30 years since the last time these saw any grease, if not far longer than that. I don't know how old these are. They probably haven't seen any grease since new, in all honesty, but they're not particularly flimsy, or they don't like open super easily. So it's pretty nice to just have them stay in the one position, so I don't even have to like clamp down on the cigarette all that hard or anything like that. And I was a little bit worried about how it would be to ash this cigarette. However, it's really not so bad. You just gotta wait for the ash to go down just a little bit, kind of thing. And then you just gotta shake it and the ash just comes right off. No problem at all. You don't flick it with like you would if you were holding the cigarette normally with your hand though. I don't think flick ashing would work very well with this experience, I'll acknowledge. Although, yeah, no. I'm just tapping the pliers themselves. And yeah, no, I can say with confidence, tap ashing, it don't work in this scenario. There's just too much room between my finger and the cigarette. I guess I could get my finger a little bit closer. But yeah, just kind of doing that is a lot easier, I'll acknowledge. Yeah, gotta admit though, solid. I'm not minding this experience by any means. Cigarette, tasting decent. Getting a nice little bit of nicotine flowing into my bloodstream, you know what I'm saying? And I gotta admit, these pliers work great to hold this cigarette with. Now, one of my worries about this experience is that as we get towards the end, the pliers themselves might start squeezing the filter just a little bit and preventing airflow from coming through. That's a worry of mine. I don't know if that's actually gonna happen. About 50-50, I think. But even right now, I can already feel the squeezing just a little bit in the airflow of the cigarette. It's a little bit of a heavier airflow right now than it would be if I was smoking this cigarette normally. And just trying to get the ash off, it definitely can be a little bit difficult at times. Another big concern is making sure that this cigarette actually gets stubbed out properly. Now, if I had an ashtray in front of me, it would be no issue at all, but currently I'm sitting in a chair in a field of grass. So there is no ashtray in front of me. I didn't bring one with me today, as much as I hate to say it. So I am gonna have to stub this out on the ground, and I'm thinking with this pair of pliers, it might not be the easiest thing to do, but that was the last hit. Let's see how it is to stub this cigarette out on the ground. I think I'm gonna just basically just take it out and use my foot, and I'm just gonna pick up the cigarette afterwards. Just grab it with the pliers once again. I kind of buried it into the dirt just a little bit with my foot. But yeah, you do have to kind of take the cigarette out of the pair of pliers when you're trying to stub it out and whatnot. However, I have successfully smoked a cigarette with a pair of pliers today. I did not touch this cigarette physically with my hands, like right with my hands, one bit. Like inadvertently with my hands, because my pair of pliers is in my hand and then the cigarette is in the pair of pliers. So I did inadvertently touch the cigarette with my hands today, kind of, I guess, but like not physically. I didn't physically put the skin of my fingers or my hands on this cigarette one bit. Did I have to use my shoes to stub the cigarette out? Yes. Did I have to take the cigarette out of the pair of pliers to stub it out? Yes. But I'm gonna have to declare this a success. I smoked a cigarette with a pair of pliers today, and I have, frankly put, no complaints on my behalf. Do I want another cigarette? I think I do. I think I do want another cigarette. I'm trying to figure out where I want to put my cigarette butt down. I think I'm gonna, to say it correctly, just put it down on the table. My tripod is sitting on it. I'm just gonna put my water bottle down on top of the cigarette butt so it doesn't fly away. No littering going on here, of course. And real quick, I'm just gonna make sure I get all the dirt off of my pliers, just wipe it on my pants just a little bit, you know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna go and get another one of my Lambert & Butler original silver cigarettes from the UK, all out of the pack. And I almost just accidentally grabbed it out with my hand. It's just muscle memory. It's just muscle memory. Let's go and get another one out though. And let's have another smoke. Let's see if I can get this one out. Boom, just like that. I'm gonna do the same thing as last time. I'm gonna kind of hold it against the pack, and I'm just gonna try to readjust. Oh no. I'm not gonna grab it with my hand though. It did touch my hand. The second cigarette did touch my hand. But I'm not gonna grab it with my hand. Readjust it, readjust it. Get that good grip going. All right, perfect. I think we're all good to go. Yeah, we're all good. All right. Now the wind is going a bit more than it was when I lit up my first cigarette, so I'm not sure how well this is gonna light up, but we're gonna find out. Without further ado, let's get back to smoking. I need to remember to grab myself a thumbnail as well, so hopefully I can remember to do that with this second cigarette. Without further ado, let's get my cigarette all lit up. Yes sir, you know what I'm saying? I feel like I got a burp. Excuse me, I did have to burp. Excuse me. Without further ado, let's get back to smoking. Yes sir, you know what I'm saying? I burned my finger just the tiniest bit. Not a terribly big deal though, by any means. Cigarette lit up, mostly evenly I'd say. And since it is getting quite breezy, I've just got to make sure that I keep a good grip on the cigarette with my pliers. And I'm gonna go and grab myself a little bit of a thumbnail real quick, I do think. Just try to lift up my tripod just a little bit, grab myself a thumbnail. You know, had to do it to him, of course. I think this is about ready to ash, but it's not wanting to come off. So it might fly onto my shirt. Hopefully it doesn't burn a hole in my shirt, because I quite like this shirt. That is just one inherent risk of smoking a cigarette with pliers, though since you can't flick ash, the ash is a bit hard to come off, but thankfully it did just drop off when I flicked it just with my wrist like that. Interesting though. Yeah, I think I can say with certainty, this is absolutely an unnecessary thing to do that just adds far more complexity than smoking a cigarette needs, and this is something that you don't need to experience. Am I glad that I had this experience today? Yes, I am, without a doubt. I am absolutely so glad that I had this experience today. This was a worthwhile experience for me to have. I'm glad I'm currently smoking a cigarette with a pair of pliers. But is this something that you have to do? No, it is certainly not. This is something that is just a funny thing to do, that is an unnecessary thing to do, and that isn't even a party trick by any means, because I'm literally just holding a cigarette with a pair of pliers and smoking it while the pair of pliers are holding a cigarette. I can't even really think of a scenario where this would be better than just smoking a cigarette normally. Even with, like, let's say, unfiltered cigarettes. When I'm holding them, sometimes I just let my hand squeeze a little bit too much and the tobacco starts coming out of the end of the cigarette and I start getting more tobacco in my mouth. I mean, like, you're gonna have the same issue with this as you would if you were just holding that unfiltered cigarette normally, frankly put. There's really no point to having this experience at all. Not with a filtered cigarette, not with an unfiltered cigarette. Maybe if you're right down to the nub of your cigar, this would be decent to do, but that's about it in all honesty. And well, that's not even with a cigarette, that's with a cigar, so that's a completely different experience. Would I have this experience again? Probably not. But this is nonetheless something I'm very glad that I decided to do. I have no regrets about having had this experience, I'll acknowledge. None at all. And I'm gonna go ahead and try to stub this out real quick, if I can stub it out without letting go of the filter. I will have no complaints on my behalf, and I have successfully done that this time around. No complaints, I will acknowledge. I did still have to use my foot to stub out the ash itself, but I kept a grip on the filter the entire time. Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah. Well, I think that's just about all I had to say for this video today. That's the experience of me, well, smoking a cigarette with a pair of pliers, well, for the first time. This was the first ever time I've ever done this, and yeah, I got no complaints on my behalf. Overall, is this an experience I'd have again? Probably not, no. Probably not. This isn't a party trick. This isn't something that really makes any sense to do. It really is an unnecessary thing to do. But I've had a great time today for that exact reason, because I think it's funny to do something that is completely unnecessary when you're smoking a cigarette. I got no complaints on my behalf about this experience. It was an amusing thing to do, and I enjoyed my smokes, and I've got nicotine in my bloodstream. No complaints on my behalf. I think that's just about all I wanted to say. Hope you guys have enjoyed watching this video today, where I smoked a cigarette with a pair of pliers. If you guys have enjoyed watching this video today, of course, make sure to like and subscribe for more content. I have my Instagram, my book, my merch, and my website all in the description down below. Go check it all out. Appreciate y'all watching this video. Until the next one, stay safe in peace and have a great one. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know what I'm saying?